So she had to overcome racism. When the disciples see and hear this Gentile calling out to the Messiah, they react by telling Jesus, send her away. Get rid of her. We shouldn't be wasting our time with her. She doesn't belong to our class. They wanted nothing to do with her. She was not one of their people. In their eyes, she was different. And that was enough to justify them not caring about her at all. How sad. As long as it is somebody from our family, we'll go the extra mile. But if it's someone from another group, from another family, we don't want to waste our time. We don't want to give them anything. As long as it's my brother, it's my sister, then we want to go the extra mile. She also had to overcome rejection. As Jesus speaks to this woman, verses 23 to 26, his words appear harsh to our ears. Imagine how it felt to her. His words must have shaken her to the very core of her being. His words probably broke her heart. First, he simply ignores her. It is as if he turns an indifferent ear to her cry for help. Then he tells her his whole purpose in coming to the world was to reach the lost sheep of Israel. Then she persists. That's okay, but you can't do something for me. She persists. Jesus tells her that she's a dog. That's really hitting at the core of her pain. She's now likened to a dog. Can you imagine when somebody says to you, you're a dog? That's enough to cause you to hold your heart and just leave. You've been hurt so badly. You don't want to get hurt anymore. And so you leave in disgust. You leave in sorrow and pain. Jesus says she does not deserve the children's bread. The disciples rejected her. And now it appears that Jesus is rejecting her as well. And so she had to finally overcome reality. And that's not easy to overcome. We keep lying to ourselves. No, it's not so bad. No, it can be sorted out. But reality is, we have a situation where the girl is demon-possessed. The reality is, they came to the disciples and came to Jesus, and nobody wants to do anything about it. Jesus calls her a dog. That's the reality. But she didn't let it stop her. Most times reality stops you. The situation is hopeless. We've gone everywhere, we've done everything. That's the reality. And we stop right there. But this woman didn't stop at the point of reality. She said, something can be done anyway. Yes, I believe that's the situation, but something can be done. And so she has to overcome reality. The reality of the situation was very harsh. A daughter was possessed by a devil. She was a member of a doomed race. These religious men did not seem to care about her or her situation at all. It must have appeared to her that her situation was totally hopeless. Some of you this morning are looking at some of these same barriers today. You might be a lost person, and you know you need Jesus, but you feel inside of you, because you've gone so far and because of all that you've done, you have no right to come to Him. You know you are from a doomed race or group. You probably feel like this woman, that you've come from a cursed people. People are dying in our community all the time. People are sick all the time. It seems like we are cursed. You experience the rejection of the religious people around you, yet you still want to see your life changed. You still want to see your family changed. You still want to see your community changed. Let me tell you that you need to come to Jesus. And if you do, He will not turn you away. He never turns anybody away. Others have been praying and seeking God about matters that trouble your heart. You too have cried to Him and asked Him to do this and do that in your life. And sadly, there's been no answers. You feel like giving up. Well, thank God you came to the service this morning, and I'm here to encourage you. God's silence is not an indication of God's willingness to meet your need. God's silence sometimes serves to test your faith and to remind you that He operates on a different schedule that you do. That's what you need to know. That His silence is not a no. That His schedule and yours are not the same. He has a time. He knows when He will do it. What obstacles are you facing today? Persist in seeking the Lord, and in His time, every one of those barriers will fall and crumble. Your faith will not be defined by what you receive from God, but by what it takes you to stop from getting to God. What is stopping you? What is stopping you from receiving your miracle? Let's look at the opportunities of faith. Mark 7:27, as Jesus speaks with this woman, He never slams the door of hope in her face. We notice in Mark's account of this encounter, he records Jesus as saying, "Let the children first be filled." Now, there's a glimmer of hope there. Let the children first be filled. That means, after the children are filled, we'll get something. Do you see that? She grabs every little thread. When you have a desperate situation like this, you're looking for hope. The word first was what this broken-hearted mother needed to hear. Jesus did not say, you cannot have what you're looking for. He said, I've come to the children of Israel, and they must be filled first. So that means there's a time for you. God has a purpose and plan for people. Your time is coming. You've got to hold on. You see, these obstacles that were thrown up by the Lord Jesus were really not there to discourage and defeat this lady. I believe that these obstacles were placed there to mature her faith. Watch the progression from verse 22. She calls on Jesus based on his role as the Jewish Messiah. She receives no help there. She has no right to approach him on that ground. And then when you look at verses 24 and 25, she hears Jesus tell her that his mission here on this earth is to the nation of Israel. When she hears this, she moves beyond seeing him as a Jewish Messiah. She now sees him as her only hope. She sees him as being worthy of worship. And so in verse 24, she bows down to him, humbles herself at his feet, gives him the worship he deserves, and appeals to him for the help she needs. She grabs that point. He is the Messiah. she just doesn't see it as a Jewish Messiah. She now blows the barriers around and says, I can be included as well. And so in verses 26 and 27, now here she hears Jesus, compares her to a dog. The Jews looked at all non-Jewish people as dogs. Jews are very proud people. And if you're not a Jew, you're a dog. The word they used to refer to the people who are unclean, filthy, and dirty. That's the word for a dog. And so, Jesus used this word in Matthew 7 and verse 6 when he talked about the people and used the word dog. Now, I want you to see that the word used here in this context is not that word dog, but to another dog that if you go to some homes, like not very far from here, they have a whole lot of dogs in the house. There's a difference with the dogs that stay outside and the dogs that stay inside. What's the difference? The outside ones are dirty dogs. Okay? But the inside ones are very clean because they run around the house. They are in the house. They will sit on your chair, on your settee. They might even jump on your bed. They are clean. Now, Jesus was not using the term dirty dog when he referred to her. That is what you must understand. That is why she grabbed hold of the word when he said dog. And she knew how to even get something good even out of that. And so, I believe as Jesus spoke to her, there was a twinkle in his eyes as he said this. And immediately the woman catches the meaning. She says, yes, it isn't right to take the food from the children's table and give it to the dogs. I agree with you. But even the dogs are treated from the crumbs that fall from the table. This is the other dog that's in the house. Do you see that? All I'm asking for is, this woman is crying out, is a crumb. I'm not asking for the children's bread. I'm not asking for all of that. I'm just looking for a crumb that will fall down from the table. Can you see how Jesus took this woman and a small faith and led her along and helped to grow this faith from small to great faith? The obstacle of faith almost always turns out to be opportunities in disguise. When we continue to seek the Lord in spite of every hindrance, we will eventually see Him do what we need done. But it will mean that we must persevere. What is the obligations of faith? We see that in verse 27. You know, a lot of people would have given up. Jesus ignored her. The disciples played the race card with her. Jesus even compared her to a dog, yet she persisted. Most folks would have thrown up their hands in frustration and stormed out in anger saying, I don't need this. So much for your God of love, for your message of compassion, your narrow begotten religion. I don't want anything to do with your God or your religion like that, they would say and storm off. That is why many react when they do not get what they want. When they want it, but not this woman. She didn't let the negatives become so big to her that would discourage her. She was looking for something good in everything Jesus said. She was looking for something she could grab from Him. She persisted in spite of everything that was thrown in her pathway. Why? She persisted Because too much was at stake. Too much was at stake. Her little daughter needed to be delivered from her bondage. Her family needed to be saved. She needed help, and she was determined to get it no matter what. A crumb might have been all she could get, but she knew that just a crumb from the hand of Jesus would be more than enough. She wouldn't give up until she got what she wanted. What a mother. You know, I don't know what you are going through, mother. I don't know what you're going through, children. But if you had a mother that could persist like this and say, I'm not giving up until you are rid of whatever your problems are, I believe we will see great things happen. You see, folks, too much is at stake. Be like this poor mother. Keep bringing that need to Jesus until He answers. Keep seeking His face until He responds. Keep asking, keep seeking, keep knocking. And in His time, He'll hand you down a morsel of answered prayer.